Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. It is a beautiful late summer day today. We have had a lot of very dry weather lately, but in the past 3 or 4 days or so, we've actually gotten a little rain, and as a result, all of the flowers and all of the leaves are starting to plump up again. And late summer, early fall is my favorite time of year, and I just love the color palette that goes on out in the garden. And so I couldn't resist just getting a selection of all of the things that are blooming right now. I have some giant red amaranth. I've got some goldenrod. The hydrangeas are sort of on their way out now. These black-eyed Susans are also called Rebecca. I've got some beautiful blue lobelia, this red Monarda. This is the Autumn Joy sedum, and this hasn't quite gotten as red as it's about to get. It's going to turn color very soon. I've got some Buddleia underneath here, this beautiful purple. That's the butterfly bush that attracts all the butterflies. And hey, I saw a monarch butterfly yesterday. I was very excited because we used to see those all the time. And of course, that that species is I think on the endangered list now. But there was one out in the garden. And oh, I've got a geranium here, a beautiful blue geranium. And then tucked down inside here, I have some berries. So these are from the ilex. And I think you can get a peek at some of those red berries. The birds have pretty much taken all of them, but I've managed to get a couple for our painting today. So I wanted to do a watercolor that would celebrate all of these beautiful colors that are happening right now. And I thought a nice loose wash of color and flowers that I could then use to tear apart and use to decorate my note cards, my journals, my boxes, and so forth. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to get out my plexiglass because this would get a little damp. And for my watercolors, I'm just using red, yellow, and blue. So here they are. Red, yellow, and blue. And I've got my paper and a brush, and I'm not going to sketch this ahead of time because I just want this to be an impression, a late summer, early autumn impression. I'm going to begin by misting my paper a little bit so that it's got some moisture on the surface. I'm going to take my beautiful flowers and put them in a place where I can see them. So I'm just going to rearrange them a little bit so it looks nice. In fact, you know what? I think that for today I'm just going to put them right down on my surface here and just make a kind of a wide There we go. That's beautiful. Today is the last day to sign up for the Watercolor Card Club. I posted the link on the announcement video for today's session, so if you need to find that, you can find that in the post directly under this one on my Facebook page. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to paint quickly and spontaneously. I'm not going to overthink this too much. I'm just want to capture some of these colors. Let me get this yellow. We need a little more yellow here. There we go. I will take a picture of the arrangement after I'm done so that you can see what that looks like. I know it's a little bit difficult for you to see it from this angle. Get the color of the Rebecca, goldenrod. And it's okay to let your colors bleed into one another as the painting dries and you increase the amount of pigment on the page. You can then start to tighten up on some of the areas that you want to bring into focus. When I went out to put the chickens away for the night last night, I found a porcupine on my lawn nibbling on the fresh new growth from the rain, and this little it was a young small porcupine, very sweet. They don't see very well, and he didn't know that I was so close to him at first, and he was just busy nibbling away on all the new leaves that had come up in the lawn, and munching away happily until I started talking to him, and then he decided that I was a little bit too close and he needed to get back into the woods. But I did take some pictures, excuse me, and I will post those later so that you can see my latest visitor to Dandelion Cottage. Really, really cute. Now that geranium is such a beautiful clear blue that I want to clean up a little area on my palette so I get some nice clean color, because I really want to capture how brilliant that is. It's got a touch of red in it, so something like that. There we go. And can use some green. So same thing, I need to clear a little bit of area on my sorry, time for a sip of coffee. I hope you all have coffee today. Oh, that's good. All right, much better. All right, so I'm taking some of my yellow, mixing it with my blue to get a nice green. I'm just using the tip of my brush to describe the shape of these leaves. And then the leaves of the amaranth have a deep, rich green with a tinge of red, really dark. So I can get that started over in this area. The amaranth is spectacular in the garden. We have it in the vegetable garden, and it towers about 8 to 9 feet high, and it looks absolutely spectacular with the sunflowers, and it has a lot of red in the stems. All right, so that's a very quick impression as a first wash. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to darken some of these areas. I want to get a little more red on here. That's better. Now my paper is starting to dry a little bit, which means that I can begin to do a little more drawing. Begin to indicate some of these petal shapes. And just have, what I would say to do is just don't overthink it. Just have fun with it. This exercise is designed to be used to decorate card fronts and tags and so forth, so you can tear away the parts that you don't like. So don't worry about making any mistakes. There are no mistakes. And then I have these white hydrangeas, which I haven't yet gotten into, but what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to use a little background tone to kind of indicate that shape. So if I just make a very pale wash of a kind of a neutral tone, okay, I can start to suggest the boundaries, I can use that same color to vignette some of these other areas. Just kind of let that fade away. There you go. Now there's that beautiful red Monarda, also known as bergamot, right in here. So I want to get some of that red, and that gets very dark and rich in the center. Now, I don't think this painting is going to dry in time for me to tear it into the shapes that I want for my note card. But what I will do is put it aside to dry a little bit and then show you how I get the note card ready. And after the painting dries enough, I'll post that as the thumbnail to the video so that you can see the end result. And I want to get a little bit of the texture of the hydrangea here, so I'm just going to use the tip of my brush to do some drawing and indicate some of these beautiful little flowers. They typically have 4 petals, so I can start to pick out a few of those. And then finally I'm going to put in some dark accents here and there in the shadow areas. In the Watercolor Card Club, I go into a lot more detail about the movement of light, creating form, how to paint shadows, how to mix your paints, all the different elements that will help you to get started. And this month in particular, there's still time for the sunflower class. If you subscribe before the 16th, and that would be today. But if you're interested in the mistletoe class, that's going to be open tomorrow. So depending on depending on what it is that you'd like to begin with. Both the sunflower class and the mistletoe class are perfect for getting started. I'm going to be reviewing all of the things you know to get set up, your tools, your paints, some basic techniques to get you off on the right foot, and some very simple assignments. There is homework with the Watercolor Card Club, so I do give you some exercises that you can practice that pertain to that month's subject. And in the card kit, you get some extra Fluid 100 watercolor paper to help you get started practicing. And there is a complete list of all of the recommended supplies. I'll also include that below after I do the video today. So if you'd like to take a minute to look at that, you'll be able to do that. You don't need a lot to get started. Much of the materials, I suspect, you probably already have on hand. And if you're a paper crafter, many times the subjects will coordinate with a stamp set. So if you'd like to paint from a stamped image, you'll be able to do that as well. All right, so I think this is at a good spot now where I can just put this aside. And for this card, I'm going to be using my trimmer to cut out a card base. I have some very vanilla thick cardstock, and I'm just going to score that lengthwise down the center at 4.5, 4.25, and then cut it at 5.5. And that's going to give me two beautiful note cards. Now for a sentiment, I'm going to use the thank you from Go To Greetings. So I've got this beautiful thank you here. And I'm going to take a scrap of my very vanilla paper, and I'm going to cut this down. Now this stamp set is so versatile. It has happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, and thank you. So there are the same sentiments in 3 different hands, and the images are 90%, so you don't really see the full size of these. So let me just grab this. I'm going to mount up my stamp. And I'm going to use a neutral color for this, so I'm going to go with the soft suede. I'm going to begin by cutting this down just a little bit. So that's 1.25. There's my thank you. And I'm going to trim that down just a little bit. So I can have a beautiful sentiment just as easy as that. And I think this is going to be a landscape orientation. So I'm just going to grab my bone folder and burnish that crease. And for this card, I am not going, oh, I got a little bit of ink on there, but that's okay because I'm going to mount something on the front of the card. I'm not going to use a matte on this card. I want a lot of this beautiful, very vanilla, and the color of the watercolor paper to sort of blend together, and then just have the beautiful watercolor on the surface of the card. And then I'm just going to mount my sentiment in the lower right corner. So I'll show you that in a photograph in just a moment. I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to use that photograph as the thumbnail for the video today so that you can see the end result, because right now my painting is really very, very wet, and I think you can see the water shining on the surface there. So I'm just going to leave this for now. You can get an idea of what this is going to look like. And I will also show you the bouquet in case you'd like to give it a try and paint from the reference photo. And if you do, I would love to see what you do. Please post it in Dandelion Paper Pals. That's a group on my Facebook here, which anybody can join. All you have to do is send me a request. If you click on Dandelion Paper Pals, it'll come up, and you'll be asked to click on something to be able to get your invitation. So go ahead and do that. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next on Saturday for Paper Crafting Saturday right here at 12 noon.